Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of this series, and today we will be working on the command handler and the event handler. So without wasting any time, I will just get started with this because this is going to be a long episode and I don't want to bore you guys to death. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to just create an events folder here. It will be under our root of this project, event slash ready.ts. What the heck? Okay, it will be in workspace root and it will be event slash ready.ts. Alright, we have the events folder over here. Actually it will go in the src folder. I'm dumb. Yeah, it will go in the src folder. Anyways, another folder needed. It will be in src and it will be called commands slash utils slash ping.ts. We will come back to these later on. The commands folder will have all the commands and utils is the category. All the categories will be separated out in folders. So if I can, I will just create another folder over here called moderation. Yep. This will have the moderation commands such as kick, ban, mute, and whatnot. Anyways, the utils will have the ping.ts. The ping is the ping pong command, and the events has a ready event. The ready event is basically the bot's ready event with the one which we have here. This will just go into a separate folder. Nothing crazy. Anyways, another folder needed. Another folder needed under the src again. It will be called code, and it will be called base, and it will be called uh, command.ts. Actually, let's call it structure slash base slash command.ts. So the structures folder will basically have all the structures, that is the classes. The base is just the base. It is self-explanatory. And under base we'll have another one called event.ts, and actually rename this to b event.ts. B is for just Blazify, uh, because I don't want it to clash with the other event class, that is the Discord's event class. And under structure we will have another folder called code, and under code it will have the new file and it will be called uh, blazify.ts. Okay, so we will work on the Blazify right now. Export class, it will be called Blazify. Oh, come on. And Blazify will have our good old bot. This will the class for the bot, and we will just separate into a different class so that we can have custom properties without much hassle. And it will extend the client by Discord. The client is the Discord JS's base client class, and I will call the constructor, and constructor will have a input that is basically commands, and commands will be something that extends map, I guess. And by default it will be set to new collection by Discord. And this will also call the super constructor. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, map requires generics, so we're just gonna call it string, and another will be called let's see, command. Just command. Command is non-existent right now, so we won't be bothering with that anyways. I don't care right now. Command is coming from here, by the way. So export class command implements I command. I will just make I command real quick. Export interface I command. So we are making I command because I will be needing this command class in a object form somewhere later down the line as some kind of data value, type value. So yeah, I'm just making the I command right here. DES stands for description, so it will be the command description. Then we have the aliases for the command. Aliases will be array of strings because a command can have multiple aliases. and we have the usage as well. Usage is also an array of string because we will have multiple usage cases. All right. Okay. So export class command implements I command, and command incorrectly implements this. So we're going to implement it real quick. And in actually, I'm just gonna be lazy as shit and just put this whole thing in the constructor, so it just auto creates all the. So what this will do is the constructor will just generate each of these as class properties, and yeah, there you go. This is done. Command is missing the following properties. If I command okay, we need to add public in front of each and every one of these, so that it knows that we are trying to make this into class properties and not just constructor parameters, which is important here. All right. Okay, and aliases is gonna be array of strings or not string. Okay, this is done. And we will just set some default values for each of these, and I will call description as no description provided. The aliases is gonna be just an empty array, and usage is gonna be an empty array as well. Only name is a necessary argument for each and every one of these. Okay, and here under structures, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file called index.ts, and this will be used for exporting all of the structures from a single file. So we can just access this structure folder, and then we can just get the command class and the event class, and not have to point to the event file specifically. So export everything from base/command. So that way in blazify.ts we can just access command real easy. I'm just going to import module from the previous folder. All right, this is done. This is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a something called make a method called init. Init is just gonna configure the bot and make it ready to rock and roll. And init will have two arguments: command string, events string. So commands and events, the strings are basically just the path to the commands and event folder, which is basically this folder and this folder over here. And in init, what I'm gonna do is in load commands, we're just going to load the commands from that, and this is going to be constant. Let's see, categories categories will be fs dot it will just be read directory sync, import it from fs, not node fs. That doesn't work for some reason. TypeScript think it does. So it will load from the commands folder, easy peasy, and I'm gonna filter out to make sure that we are taking only the directories. So x ends with dot ts. It should not end with dot ts, so we're gonna add exclamation here real quick. That's it. And actually we don't even need this. I can just do this. I can just do for each over here. All right. Okay, so we're gonna call this cat. So that will be the each of the categories, and constant commands. Cat if read directory sync. This will just have the base path, so that's okay. Here let's just call it cmd, and actually over here I'm just gonna call it command path, and command path commands. All right, so I can just do command path plus it will have the base category for the current category we're looking at, and it will filter out all the files that ends with .ts extension, because we are checking for classes inside files. So we're looking for .ts obviously. And I'm also gonna map all of these to just make sure that we don't get the .ts extension with it, because Node.js required function just acts up sometimes. So I don't want the .ts extension with it. So I'm just gonna do x dot slice, and it will start at 0 and end at -3. -3, since this is just 3 letters. Okay, okay, we have that, and now we can run a for of loop. For of will take in command, and object will be commands, and the constant uh, cmd class is gonna be required. Actually, let's just call it pull, and we will wrap the required in a new statement, because it will pull a class by default. So over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do command. Okay, so this path is gonna be command path slash slash the category, the current category. Oh my god, category, and then the actual command file. All right. So this should be enough to actually just do new. And over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do this dot commands. Oh, over here, we also need to do public. Only if I can type. Okay, so here under here commands dot set, and in key we will be doing uh actually let's remove that. Okay, in key we will be doing the command name, so pull dot name, and for the second place we will just do pull. Okay, okay, this is done, this is done, this is good. So right now all our commands should be working just fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this in a try catch block to catch any sort of errors really. And we're going to throw the error just straight away. We won't be sticking up with any BS of any kind. Actually we're just going to console.error, because yeah, that works. And over here I'm going to do a console log as well, just to tell that the command has been loaded. Command loaded, and the command will be pull dot name. All right, so I think now we can run it and test it out. But under here in bot.ts, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're using our custom client class that is called Blazify, and it won't be pulling it from here, sorry buddy. You will be pulling it from structures. And in index, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do export everything from core slash Blazify. Okay, so I think we can access Blazify from here now. Yes, good. Okay, under Blazify, what we're gonna do after that is bot.init, and init will take in the commands path obviously. So we're gonna use directory name along with it. Uh, so let's wrap it in template literals, and we're gonna call it commands. Okay, under commands, it will find that, and for the events, so we don't need anything as of now. And we can do bot.login as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do tsc to compile the whole thing, and we're going to do yarn start dev. Okay, we have an error. Client cannot be invoked without new. All right, where is this coming from? It's coming from here, I guess. All right, can't we actually are you telling me that we can't actually just extend this class? I'm gonna look at the compiled file to see what is actually going on over here. Okay, so it says that it cannot call it is unable to call the super, which is obviously weird because I should be able to extend any class, doesn't matter. Okay guys, so I was able to fix it by just changing the target to ES6 because I think it was on a older ES version, ECMAScript version, which is why our module resolution was not working properly. Anyways, it is fixed now, so you can see it. The client has been logged in. It is not showing any command loaded right now because we don't have any commands loaded. We do have the ping file, but there is nothing in there, so there is no class in there. So if I just do export class ping command, and if we extend it from extends command from here, from structures, we can just do super sorry, we can just call the constructor, and then we have to call the super constructor, and we have to specify the name of the command. And under here I will just also just do this real quick. That is basically a method which is called run, and this will just to message sorry, message dot channel dot send pong. This is replies to our message, and a message will be specified over here, and that will be the message by the message class by discord.js anyways. Okay, so that's that. Now what we can do here is we can restart the bot, recompile our code, and then do restart, and now it should properly get our commands, which it apparently didn't. Okay, now we need to resolve that, why that didn't work, because that should work. Okay, so in index.ts sorry, in bot.ts, what we're gonna do is actually, sorry, in here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna console.log everything. We're gonna add few console.logs. We're gonna debug this together, and I'm gonna copy this line and come down here, and we're gonna console.log the commands as well. All right, so let's recompile and run. Okay, so it found utils under there, and in utils it, for some reason it didn't find it, because now we know, because this code runs after it has been compiled, and after it has been compiled our ts was changed to .js. So that was a mistake I made. We have to use .js everywhere instead of .ts, and we're gonna change up the start script a little bit and just add ts in here so that it compiles every time before it starts. We can use tsc watch mode, but I'm just we have to make like two separate terminals for that. I don't want to do that. Okay, required is not a constructor. Okay, now let's see what that is. And we know what that is actually. Actually, I know what that is, why it's happening, because this exports as an object, and we are not using object over here. We're just straight up wanting to make an instance of that object, the export object, which does not work like that. So what we have to do is we have to do in under here, what we need to do is take the actually just call it full for the time being, and I'm gonna console log and show you guys what I actually mean. So if we log the full object right now, and remove everything from here, actually just keep that, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this export in ping.ts to export default, export default class extends command. So default just resolves the class name into the file name, so the class will be called ping.ts. And if we see here, it has an object, and the object, inside the object we have a field called default, and in the default we have a class. So now what we can do is we can destructure this object. Just remove this real quick, and we can destructure this object and take the default field out of it, and the default field will basically house the houser class, and we're gonna call it pull. There you go. So the default will be called pull, and the pull will now be the object, the command. So we can make another constant. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do pull is equals to new pull, and I will change this to a let instead of a constant because we are reassigning it essentially. Okay, now if I do this, this will actually set the command properly. Actually, it should have done that, but it didn't for some reason. But yeah, here it says command loaded ping. So that worked, and it says that we provided an invalid token. All right, buddy. I know that why that is happening, because we have to run the cross env actually after we run the tsc. Because we have to run the cross env along with the node command, not along with the tsc command. So if I restart this, our bot should log in perfectly fine, and we should not get any errors. And there you go, it worked. Now we have to quickly work on the command, on the event handler. Sorry for the long video. So if I really quickly go here, and I will just copy this whole thing down, and we are gonna go down here, and let's load events, and in the here we're gonna use the event path, uh, event path, and under the event we won't have any subfolders, so it is so we directly go into the event folder, event files. So we are gonna just filter out the files that end with the .js extension, and we can remove this from here, and I can call this events, come on, event, and remove these as well. Actually, I'm just gonna take this map out because we're gonna use that to actually get the only the event file name and not the extension. So we're gonna just remove this for loop as well. We won't remove the try catch though. We won't remove the try catch. The try catch is still needed to catch errors, and it will pull the default. It will have the event file name, and it will have the event path as well, and instead of setting it to this, what we will do is this dot okay, so this dot on pull dot name. So what we are doing is we are taking the handler from the Discord, because this dot on pull dot name will basically give us the handler which is called when that event is called, right? So we are gonna take that, and we are gonna do bind, oh sorry, on that when that event is called, we're gonna do pull dot handle dot bind. We're gonna bind that event, and pass in the parameters like that. All right. Oh, and another thing I forgot to do is in this pull dot we're gonna set a parameter over here, which is the client parameter, so that we can access the actual bot from the command files and the event files. So we're just gonna bind this, and that won't have any parameters anyways, and we will just also bind this pull dot client is gonna be this, and here I can also say say that Over here what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the client parameter public client, and it won't be present right now, and it will be Blazify, the Blazify client actually. All right, so that's that. So it will be either Blazify or it is gonna be undefined. Actually, there is a not null just because I don't want any null. I don't want to do null checks later on. So I'm just gonna set it to not null. I'm gonna override that. And in here we're just gonna call it a B event, and we won't be implementing anything over here. And also we will just have the event name and nothing else. And we won't have this either, and we will have the client. So the B event class is also done. Okay, now if I make a event, we actually have a event. I think we have the ready event. So we are gonna export default extends B event, export default, sorry, class extends B event, and we're gonna have a we're gonna have a constructor, and we will call the super constructor and set the event name to ready. And then I will just make a public method called handle, and we will move the bot.ts code from here to there in the ready.ts event under the handle, and this dot client dot user dot username. That should be it actually. uh, I'm just quickly checking if everything is proper. We're just gonna do event loaded instead of command loaded over here. Oh, and we need to bind it to the bot. Sorry. Sorry, we need to bind it to null. What the heck am I doing? And if I actually start it, compile it and start it, it should be able to. Okay, it a three-way error. Sorry, three-way error. Oh, all right. I forgot to pass in the actual path for the events. Sorry, my bad. What I need to do here is use template literals dir name and just say events. That should be it. That should try to actually log the event. Event is loaded and cannot read property client of null. Okay, understandable. Oh, so since we are binding this to the actual uh, since we are binding it to null, this context is changing. So what I need to do is in if I can find the file in here, we need to bind it to the pull. Actually, we need to bind it to the class so that this context still remains the same and does not change like that. uh, that is pretty important, otherwise it won't be able to access any properties. Okay, there we go. Since we change the disk context to back to the event class, now it can access the client parameter of the client property of the class. So we just successfully made a command handler and an event handler in this episode. The next episode we will be starting on with few of the commands. Right now we don't have much time actually. This episode is already too long, and probably you guys won't even see till the end, which is very sad. I'm just gonna add a last export statement over here. Base this B event so that we can access the B event from there. Wow, what? Okay, here I can just remove this now. All right. Okay, guys, this was that analogy, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please consider subscribing to the channel and like the video and share it with your friends. See ya. I am not recording.